Alrighty, good morning everybody. So I am recording my thoughts on my podcast take sheet or one sheet. And I'm going to turn this into a podcast episode as well. Why not? So listen in for more.
You know when someone is selling from stage and at the end the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a table rush. My name is Misha Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy.
Okay, welcome back. I'm totally riffing here, and in the vein or the inspiration of document, don't create. Thank you, Gary Vaynerchuk. I think I'm saying his name right. Gary wants to buy the Jets. That's half his hook. Half of Gary's hook is, I'm on a mission to buy the New York Jets one day. Great hook, Gary. Anyway, Gary's like, hey man, just let it rip. Document the process, what's happening. So here we go. As you all know, I am hyper committed, or if you don't know, I'm hyper committed. I'm back all in 100% on my podcast. And not only that, I'm 100% in on guesting, on going on a guest speaking tour on other people's podcasts and shows. And I'm also hyper committed to helping you do that. Like that's been the massive shift for me of late. And this is going to allow me to bring all my old school learnings and life lessons. One, you know, I got sober, got clean off alcohol and drugs when I was 17 years old, and it's been straight line recovery ever since. So I have the bulk of my life looking at it from the lens of recovery, which is neither good nor bad. It's just an interesting fact. I think it's good. It's forced me on a growth trajectory, which has been great for me. I've been a seeker my whole life, and the 12-step framework, the recovery framework, has been a great lens to observe that and grow that through my life. And then what else? We've got the other key, chunk of my life in the business world was being a salesman, and I would say a traditional salesman. And real quick here, I just want to say why I'm telling you all this is I'm going to put this into my podcast take sheet, my podcast one sheet, by my, let's say you call it your PR sheet. A lot of times when people ask you to speak on their podcast or they want to book you, they say, hey, give us your one sheet, which is like your bio, your biography, your PR sheet, and it's usually got, why I'm interesting, why you should interview me. And so I've been thinking a lot about this. I need to put this together because I've been interviewed on some podcasts where just the referral was enough. Oh, Misha's awesome. Get him on your show. And they're like, hey, fantastic. Where now I've got more people that, hey, they want me on their show, but their process asks for this take sheet. So I'm like, all right, I got to make this one sheet. It's mostly what it's called. Got to make my one sheet. So I was thinking about, excuse me, how to, total diversion. I hit pause because there's this old gentleman that I see on this walk. I'm obviously walking and recording. I think it's a great time to create content. I love walking. I love letting my mind run and just letting the thoughts percolate and really letting them percolate as much as I can without judgment, and without trying to like control the flow of it, shall we say, and it really allows for a lot of inspiration for me. Maybe I'll do a podcast episode on that. But anyway, there's an old gentleman, he's got to be in his 80s, shuffles along. He had this dog, and I've seen him for a good year or two, you know, through the COVID, all that stuff, and he was just walking with his niece. I'd never said hi, and he was with, it turns out, his niece instead of his dog. So I was like, what happened to the dog? My opportunity to say hi. And man, we just had a great conversation, and what a nice man. And you know, he was talking about energetic connections, and he said, I always knew we had an energetic connection. And I said, indeed we did. You know, we would always just say a quick hi as we'd pass each other. And he said, yeah, most people I tell that to about this energy stuff, they just think I'm crazy, you know, or what's he talking about? And I said, you know, my friend, I am in complete alignment with you. And so, great conversation. Anyway, so back to it, the podcast one sheet. I've been thinking about, you know, how to put together my bio section of that to, so people, the main goal is so, on my end, is so the host knows what I can speak to. Okay, and also I want to paint the picture through my bio that I've got great content to share about here. Like, I've looked at my whole life through this 12-step recovery lens, and so, you know, I have frameworks around that. I've got tons of amazing stories and learning points through that apply to everything, to your family, to your job, to your career, to entrepreneurship, salesmanshipping, whatever. And so, you know, I can speak to that. Next is, you know, I got into my sales career, and this is really, I'm looking to speak on entrepreneur podcasts, so entrepreneuring podcasts, or to speak to people that have a chunk of their audiences into entrepreneuring, you know, trying to grow their business online, stuff like that. Trying to really grow their influence. That's a better way to put it. But anyway, so the next chunk of my, you know, bio will be, hey, you know, I was in traditional sales. I was effectively a traditional salesman for 20 years, and I made millions of dollars being a salesman. Now, the bulk of my salesmanship was in home loans. I was a home loan officer from, I can remember the exact date, December 16th, 2001. That's when I started, and I had to be successful because I had a wife and Cooper, who was 9 months old, and I had been laid off out of the tech industry because the dot-com bubble had completely popped. Only job I could get was mortgages. But anyway, yeah, I made millions of dollars through that, and you know, I did traditional door-to-door sales, tons of telemarketing, like telemarketing. I was always on the phones. And then I did direct response, sending out flyers to get the phones to ring. And then it was also, you know, of course, the follow-up systems to have your old clients continue to use you. And so I made millions of dollars doing that. And I don't say that egoically, just saying that, hey, I've got lots and lots of stories to tell. And so I can speak to that. And then we've got, you know, part 3 is, all right, the new world for me of digital marketing. Right, I'm in the digital marketing space now, and I'm bringing all of this old school experience into the new school of digital marketing. Now, digital marketing is not necessarily new school, obviously, but it kind of is to me. And there's swaths of people out there where digital marketing is the new school and feels like the Wild West. And I love this actually, this idea of the Wild West, of the digital marketing landscape is the Wild West. So I've got this great friend, her name's Andrea Peer, and I want to give Andrea Peer credit for this. She helps people build their funnels. She helps people create their customer journey. She helps you create your customer's customer journey. Am I saying that right? But Andrea is brilliant. She's a genius. Gosh, she's so creative. And she's a designer. I mean, she's got this incredible design eye. So she crafts your story visually as well as technically, the technical side. So she's got amazing technical mastery too. So like her superpower is blending these things together and helping you create your customer's journey in the digital landscape. And she says the part that her disconnect is, or not really her disconnect, her customer's disconnect, is the digital marketing landscape, the frontest of the front end of the funnel, if you want to say it that way, or the frontest of the front end of your customer's journey. How are you creating that interest and getting people into your funnel? And there's so many ways in digital marketing, and a lot of them are super expensive. And so I can bring the old school sales sensibilities into the new world. Here's my old gentleman friend. Man, him and his niece, sweetest people ever. Just great energy, super nice. Okay, so I help you straighten out the Wild West. I love that. That resonates with me on so many levels. Well, because I grew up in Wyoming, and the Wild West, like that's where I grew up, the Wild West. And mortgages were the Wild West. They were super structured. That industry was super structured for a while, and then the big VC money came in, the structured bonds, all that sort of stuff. The CDOs, collateralized debt obligations, all these different names for it, securitizing debt. Like, it turned everything into the Wild West. And that's what I loved about mortgages. Man, it was the Wild West. And I thrive in the Wild West. And it's actually super fun talking about this. I'm going to try and stop at 15 minutes, 13 minutes and 7 seconds, not including intros and outros. And then, so I, in mortgages, I was like, I don't want to get into the mortgages. It's going to be boring. And I used to tell people all the time, I love mortgages. It's like the Wild West. Anyhow, I can help you in the Wild West. I can speak to your audience about getting clarity in the Wild West, like how to wrangle leads in the Wild West. There we go. That could be my whole angle. I love it. But right now, currently, the way to wrangle those leads is to go on a guesting tour, a guest speaking podcast tour. And oh my God, the benefits of that are massive. And I've already started experiencing them in my own arena. But anyway, you get it. So I'm going to make this one sheet that speaks to those three areas. I've got the whole family thing too, but we'll save that for, I think I'll leave that off the one sheet and let that come up organically in conversation. Divorces, failed relationships, thriving relationships. Oh my gosh, I have the best relationships ever with my kids. I truly do. They're 20 and 22 now, and it's rather awesome. But there you go. Document, don't create. Thank you for listening. As always, send me an email. Click on my email in the show notes and say, yeah, man, love what you're up to, or let me know if you've got a question. Anything. I'd love to answer some questions. Fire me a question.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.